girls. Hello, girls and students out there. Hi, everyone. How are you? I hope you are feeling good. Okay, so today I'm having another lesson. Actually, we had the last lesson was on Saturday because that was a short subtopic. So that's why today I am coming and having introduced another lesson to you this week. Okay, so today I'm going to go through the types of interaction. All right, okay, I hope my mic is on. Yeah, I can see I'm unmuted. I'm not muted now. All right, so let's look at the type of interactions. So I have not shared the screen yet. Okay, I will share my screen now. Those who are in the audience can please give me a feedback on whether you are able to hear me. Okay, please type any comments. Let me know that you can hear me fine. Okay, let me share screen. All right, okay. So at the moment, I don't have any comments. Okay, now I'll just go ahead. Okay, so first of all, let's look at, we did this the pyramid of numbers, pyramid of biomass, and pyramid of energy in our lesson 2 days ago. Okay, so if you've not seen the video, please go through that because that is one subtopic on its own. Okay, now today we look at, okay, evening, good morning, right? I can see your comment now. So I think everything is fine, right? You can hear me. Now, so I'm going to go through this one. So this is an interesting part, I feel. It's the types of interaction among biotic components. So we're talking about all the organisms which are alive. That means which are living things. Whether it's a plant or an animal or even bacteria, they interact with each other in different ways. Okay, maybe it's in terms of nutrition. One organism eats another organism. That's also interaction. Okay, maybe both of them, they live together and they help each other. So this is a symbiotic relationship. So that's why we are going to look at the different types of relationship between two organisms, whether plant and plant or plant and animal. Okay, and how they affect each other. Usually one party will win, one party will lose, or both parties will win, get advantage, or one party wins and then the other party does not have no effect to the other party. All right, so let me go on to, now this is what you have in textbook. So this is quite brief. You will see that you just have 2 pages of this. And then the next page is just an experiment to compare the different types of competition, interspecific and intraspecific. Okay, there's nothing much here. So I would like to introduce my notes here. Okay, courtesy of another teacher who made the notes, who made so much effort to make the notes. So I thank you very much for doing that. So this is interaction between among the biotic components. Usually when you use the word between, it's usually for comparing 2 things. But if you're comparing more than 2 things, the correct word to use is among. Okay, the types of interaction among means more than 2. If you say the type of interaction between A and B, that's all right. Between A and B means you're comparing 2 things between. So I'm just giving you the correct usage of the word among and beyond, between. Okay, between is comparing 2 things. Among is more than 2. So you have 4 different types of interaction. Okay, now let me line up here and just, okay, just look at this one. So let me put it in this diagram form, in a chart format, so you can jot it down if you go along. Types of interaction can be divided into 4 major groups. You have learned this, I believe, in your primary school. Okay, and also maybe your lower secondary, that means in science. Your form 2, I think, form 2 part, or form 1, because form 3 you don't have this. Either form 1 or form 2, you learn something about it. But here we are adding more examples and more detail. Okay, now, first of all, there is symbiosis. Okay, sim means together. You see this word sim, right? Sim means together. Biosis means life, living. So they live together. Symbiotic relationship. So when you talk about the thing, it's called symbiosis. When you talk about the relationship, the correct term to use is symbiotic relationship. Okay, so symbiotic relationship is referring to the same thing as symbiosis. So these 2 organisms, whether it's plant and plant or plant and animal, they live together, they have a very close relationship. Okay, 很密切的关系, a very close relationship. So it could be any of these 3. So symbiosis, under symbiosis, you have 3 types. Okay, so remember that. Try to remember, as you learn something new, you try to remember. Do not wait until the exam, because when you enter the exam, you have a lot to cover. So try to remember little things as you go along, as you learn things. Okay, I'm going to remember this from now on. Okay, so symbiosis has got 3 different types, depending on their benefits or their advantages that they get from each other. Okay, first one is called commensalism. Okay, I'll go through it in detail later. Just look, I want to give you the overview, okay? The overall picture, what you're going to learn and how I do things. Okay, then parasitism, okay, parasitism and mutualism. So these 3 are under symbiosis. Commensalism, for commensalism, one party will have advantage, while the other party, there is no loss and there's no gain. That means it's nothing to the other comments, it's nothing to the organism. All right, I don't lose, I don't gain anything, only you gain. Okay, so that kind of relationship is called commensalism. For parasitism, one positive or negative. One party gains, the other party will lose. The other party will suffer any the consequences of the relationship. That means they will lose something, maybe nutrient or something else. Okay, okay. Joanne, good morning, and Rishan, good morning. All right. Mutualism. This is mutual means together. That means both of them will get the same advantage, which is both of them will win and win. So it's called a win-win relationship. Positive, positive. Okay, so this is under symbiosis. The second group is called saprophytism. This is specifically only for those organisms that are able to convert complex organic substances into simpler forms, like fungus. Okay, fungus, and also some kind of bacteria. So they are able to stay together with another organism. So they were able to produce, you can see, break down the nutrient. Okay, so the other organism can get the nutrient. Okay, number 3 is prey predator. This is very simple concept. One organism eats another organism. So the prey is the smaller one. So how to remember? Some girls, they get confused. Which is the prey, which is the predator? Okay, so it's easy. Think of the word prey has got 4 letters, right? P-R-E-Y. That's prey. So think of the word food. Food also has got 4 letters, right? F-O-O-D. So the prey is the food. Okay, we cannot remember which one is the hunter, which one is the huntee. Hunter is the person who hunts. Huntee is the person hunted. Okay, so the food, same letters, 4 letters, it's same like prey. So remember that. Predator is the organism that is bigger, that is larger, and they will eat the prey. Okay, competition. Competition in Cantonese, Mandarin, they call it 竞争. 竞争 is like they're fighting against each other because they want to get the thing. Maybe the thing is limited. Usually competition will happen when there's limited supply. Okay, so competition, there are actually 2 types here. One is called interspecific. Okay, the other one is called intraspecific. We'll go to the details later. Okay, interspecific and intra. So the difference here is only the first the first prefix in front here. One is inter, one is intra. Okay, so we go into the details, right? So these are the categories and the overview. So when you remember them in groups, it's easier. Okay, symbiosis, there are 3. Saprophytism, only 1. Prey predator, only 1. And competition, you have 2. Okay, let's go to one by one. In examples here, there'll be more examples. The one in the textbook is very limited. Okay, now let's look at symbiosis. Symbiosis is interaction between 2 organisms of different species. We talk about different species, definitely, and that live together. So it has to be of different species. Okay, they live together. So one will get benefit, the other one may be unaffected, or maybe harmed, or maybe helped. Okay, so you can see the positive and the negative, and the positive, the N is neutral, 0, and mutualism is both positive. Okay, let's look at one by one. Let's go to commensalism. Remember to remember a few examples. You have to remember a few examples. At least when you talk about answering questions, every example try to give at least 2. Minimum 2 lah. Usually when we have a marking scheme, we will, if they want it for examples, we will have marks for your example. So be on the safe side, give at least 2 examples. Okay, for everything that you talk about, if it's not needed in the scheme, there's no harm to you. It's always better to write more than to write less. Okay, if it's not in the scheme, then well and good, right? You don't get deducted any marks, neither you lose anything. But if it's in the scheme, you didn't write, then you will lose the mark. So better to write more than necessary. Okay, now communism is an interaction between 2 different organisms, different species. One organism benefits, so it's a positive, right? And then the other one is it doesn't benefit nor is harm, so it's a 0. So it is a plus and a 0. The organism that benefits is called the commensal. Okay, the organism that gets advantage is called the commensal. And then the other one, which doesn't get anything, right, is called the host. So usually, right, the host will be larger in size compared to the commensal. And under commensalism, let's get 2 examples: epiphytes and epizoites. Okay, now what are epiphytes? Epiphytes are plants that stay on top of other plants and they just tumpang on it. They tumpang there for advantage. Okay, they tumpang there because maybe it's on top of the tall tree, they can get more sunlight. So when you see the word phytes, Phytes, see this word phytes, it refers to plants. So something phyte. Okay, and the other word is zoid. Zoid is from the word zoo. That means it's animal. So one is a plant, epiphyte. The other one is epizoid. Okay, epiphyte, epizoid. What are epiphytes? Epiphytes are green plants which grow on other plants to obtain more sunlight. This one you have learned it when we talk about chapter, I think it was chapter 3, nutrition, 3.3. When we talk about epiphytes, and then you also have parasites. Another one is called those carnivorous plants. That, you know, the Venus flytrap that eat the organism, the insects and so on. So this one is under epiphytes. They just grow on top there of another tree, maybe to get support, maybe to get more sunlight. They do not absorb nutrition. Okay, so I underline here, they do not derive nutrition. Derive means get. They don't get their nutrition from the tree because, first of all, because they don't need the word green. So if they're green, that means they're able to make their own plant. They don't need to absorb the plant or the food from the host. They need it. They have the green plants. They have the green chlorophyll. They put the only tumpang for the sake of maybe getting higher position so they get more sunlight. Okay. Now it has adaptation, specialized roots to anchor itself firmly on a branch so it stays there, right? And then the relative size, they do not bother the host. They don't bother the host plant because it don't suck anything from there. It doesn't, and the plant is not bothered by it. It does not harm in any way. Examples of epiphytes, okay, from chapter 3, you learn already the staghorn fern, bird's nest fern, a special name for that. Okay, pigeon orchids, orchids are also epiphytes. Money plant, they grow on the tree stem. And they climb up on the tree stem and they have a lot of these green leaves there. And some of them put inside the house there for decoration, put in a small jar and put water with all this jelly that absorbs a lot of water. Okay, money plant. So epiphyte, why do they need to stay up there? Number one is to get their sunlight. Number two, they also may face difficulties getting water. So they have extensive root system there. Actually, when the water drops onto the big tree, the water actually gets collected at the leaves, right? And also the roots will collect that. And also dropping, they have let's say fallen leaves and all that. These when they decompose, it will become humus. It becomes nutrient for the root as well. So they have these adaptations. Okay, so look at these adaptations for epiphytes. They may come up as a question. So always try to identify the adaptations whenever you go through any topic in biology, because adaptation is a integral part of biology. We need to understand why are they like that. Why do they have this? Why do they have that? Because with this and that, they are able to perform certain function. Okay, so this is quite a popular question they ask you is adaptations. So what do they have and how does it help you? How does it help the plant? So the pigeon epiphyte, epiphyte pigeon orchid has the following adaptations, adaptations. So they have swollen stem, okay? At the base of the orchid there is swollen, is to store water. Special roots called aerial roots with a spongy layer called velamen. They absorb moisture from the air. Okay, so let's say for orchids, those of you who plant orchids, normally what you do is, you know how to plant, your orchids are hanging there, isn't it? Orchids they put in this small, what do you call this, pots with holes, and you normally put arang. Arang is the coal or the kayu arang there, isn't it? And then you don't really need soil. The roots are extended out from the, you hang it on the tree or hang it on the whatever. And then normally how do you water your orchids? You spray the roots. You take a bottle sprayer, you spray water, and the layer of the tissue there, all right, called velamen, is able to absorb water when you spray onto it. Okay, so that's how it works, right? So you have special roots for that. So this is orchids. Epiphytic ferns like the bird's nest horn, Plinium nidus, and the staghorn fern, they have the following adaptation. Okay, so this is adaptation. So they have root system with ants' nest. So they're in the up on the tree there. There's a lot of ants there. All right, ants make their house, they stay in the bark and the tree and all this root system there of these plants. Now, so the habits, the ants will bring in all these things like rotten leaves, right? Bringing the garbage there, and then they will decompose. So when they decompose, right, they rot, the humus is formed. Humus is like budger, because it breaks down into become these inorganic substances. And then this will help to, it'll be good for the epiphytes. Okay, it increases the mineral content for the epiphytes. And then the adjacent frond is the leaves that are large in shape. It's one whole big piece that we call it frond. So the fronds, they overlap, right? So there's you can see this picture here. I think I have some more pictures. I didn't put. Okay, so you see the fronds. The frond, like one of the fronds is like that. Okay, they overlap. The leaves are very big, so they're sort of like collecting the water. So when water drops onto the leaves, it collects and it channels all the way down to the bottom, and also help to increase the speed of decomposition because you have moisture. Okay, it forms a nest, it collects the fallen leaves, all these detritus, everything falls there and it breaks down, and the mineral is also can be absorbed by the epiphyte roots as well. Okay, so the fronds are large, they actually channel the water down. So this is the leaves and so on. So these leaves are actually quite long and they overlap. Okay, you can see all this. This is staghorn, because the shape of the leaves is like a staghorn. You know, staghorn is the rooster. Rooster is like deer. The deer, the horn, the shape like that one, no? Right? And then you have the bird's nest, right? All these have very big fronds. This is the pigeon. Yeah, I see this is the bulb, where it's the stem is largely it's a bit spongy to collect water, right? To store water. So these are the bulbs of the orchid. This is an orchid plant. So they are all epiphytes. Okay, as long as they have green leaves and they stay on top of other trees, they are definitely epiphytes. Okay, let's look at the epizoids. These are animals. Zoid, always tell you the word is animal. Epi means on the surface. So they also like stay on the surface, but they do not get the what you call nutrients from. They don't suck from there, because if they suck it, it's considered parasite already. Okay, if this plant or this animal stays on top of another animal and then it sucks nutrients, it's not considered commensalism. It's considered either one is positive, they get advantage, the other one will get negative, right? Because the host will give nutrient, so the host is losing nutrients. So that one is considered parasitism. So epizoids are not parasites. Okay, they live on the external surface of another animal. Okay, the advantage they get. And so if they don't get nutrient, what do they get? They don't get nutrient, so what for stay on top? If they get transport, they get free transportation, right? Because they stay on top of another organism. That when that organism moves around, this one follows, right? They also get protection. They may get protection, yeah. Leftover food, the host will, the other organism, which is called a host, will eat maybe some of the food that's not finished. Then the epizoid can also get it. Okay, so remember here, epizooids, they are not parasitic, and they do not compete with their host for food. They also do not absorb food from their host. Okay, examples of famous epizooids, okay, is that shark with the little fish always swimming beside that. Okay, these are called remora fish. Okay, sometimes they're even stuck. It has a structure on the one part of the body here, or the head here, that helps you to stick to the underside of the shark. Okay, so remora fish here, it's not a baby, you know. A lot of people think, the one swimming beside is the baby. Yeah, actually, it's actually stuck there and it's not the baby, right? It gains transportation. Wherever the shark swims, the remora goes along. They get leftover food. Sometimes the shark doesn't finish the food, so the remora can get. And also, of course, protection. Who dares to attack a shark, isn't it? And of course, if the shark is not attacked, then the remora is not harmed in any way. So, all right, and then for the shark, it doesn't suffer any loss, okay, because it's not sucking, this remora is not sucking blood from this shark, not losing anything. It also doesn't gain anything. Okay, so this is remember this example for commensalism. Okay, barnacles, right? Barnacles, these I want to show you barnacles. Barnacles, I don't know how to call it in Mandarin. They are like little animals which look like a rock, you know. Inside there, actually, they have a little animal that is living inside there, and it gets stuck to the rocks. Okay, let's show you this picture. This is a barnacle. I've copied it somewhere else. I think I did it in the wrong place. Where's my barnacle? Sorry. This is barnacle. Sorry. It's here. So I put it up here. This is the barnacle. Now, barnacle, I'm sure you go to beaches, right? You go for holidays and you look at the jetty, the side there where you have the sea tide coming in and the rocks. You always see these little tiny creatures, right? It's like, looks like calcified, looks like it's calcium. Yeah, there is calcium there. And you can see that inside here, you have an animal inside here. Hard, right? It has a protective covering. And this is empty. This is empty. Of course, already no one at home. This one ni tak ada orang. So this one got these animals there, right? So they are called barnacles. Barnacles are we call sisal. Sisal animals. Sisal means they do not move. They get stuck there, right? So when they're young, when they are actually still babies, actually they are spawned by this parent. So they will release their whatever organisms there, I mean the babies, into the water. And then what they do is they drift and drift and drift until they get themselves attached onto the rock. And once they get attached to the rock, and there they stay forever until the day they die. They don't move anywhere. Okay, so if it's on the boat and underside of the boat, when the boat moves, they will move together with the boat. At the jetty, the tiang, the jetty, you'll see a lot of this also. So that tiang jetty will have a lot of this as well, especially for rocks. When you go to the beach, right, you go and play around. When you go your seaside holiday, right, you go and have a look. You will get a lot of this at the pillar of the jetty, and also a lot of this on the rocks, okay, at the beaches. So they are called barnacles. So barnacles here, the animal, this is a rock. Also happen to be a rock. Like it can be a crab. Let's say this is a crab. This crab will not suffer anything. This crab doesn't suffer anything because it just stuck on it, and the barnacle does not absorb any food. So if this is a rock, of course, it's not living thing. So it shouldn't be a rock. I'm talking about two organisms, so it should be a crab and a barnacle. Okay. So the barnacle does not get any benefit except for transportation, because they can eat on their own. They have their own adaptation for absorbing or for eating, for ingesting food. Okay, so they live on the shells of the crabs or the snail or the cockles, the outside. They're called epizooids. Okay, protozoa, they will attach itself to cyclops. Cyclops is actually a small little, it's like a zooplankton. Right? It is animal there, is epizooid. And then you have what protozoa called Vorticella is attached to the cyclops. Cyclops are water flea. So they're quite small. You need to put it under the microscope to see properly. Okay, so if you want to remember, just remember your remora fish. This is easy as an example for commensalism. Okay, right. Now, mutualism, these are two organisms which both organisms benefit. Okay, I help you, you help me. I rub your back, you rub my back. Okay, You help me, I help you. So like that. So this kind of examples, remember the two examples here. Easier to remember. First one is the algae and fungi in lichen. So you pronounce this word as K, lichen. K sound, lichen. Where do you get lichen? You get lichen when you go to these countries or areas or places which are very cold. Especially, let's say you go on the way up the way, if you have the advantage, have the chance to climb Mount Kinabalu, right? You go all the way up there. As you go higher and higher, as you reach the peak, the rocks or the mountainside, you'll see a lot of lichen. And then you go to Iceland, right? Iceland, you don't have a lot of vegetation. You don't have much tall trees there because it's so cold there, right? You have a lot of lichens living on the ground or on the rocks and so on. So you have what is called lichens. What are lichens? Lichen is actually a combination of two organisms called algae and fungi. They stay together. So that combination is called lichen. Combination of algae and fungus together. So you can imagine the alga is green. The fungus is not green, okay? It is like much like grayish color or brownish color. That kind of, it is definitely not green. So this combination of greenish, yellowish, that kind of thing, they stay together, right? That is called a lichen. How do they help each other? The green algae, of course, as you remember, right? The green. So the very important thing they can do is they can produce food. So this algae will produce food from photosynthesis. They absorb sunlight, okay? And this food that they get will also get to be shared by the fungus. So the fungus gets some food from the algae. And what does the algae get from the fungus? So the fungus will give protection, it gives water and minerals. So they help each other, all right? I get food from you, in return, I give you protection, I give you water and minerals, that's the fungus. Then the alga says, all right, I'm giving you food, so I must get something from you. I'm getting protection and minerals from the fungus. Okay, and of course, don't forget oxygen. So when algae produces food, they also produce oxygen. So it's good for the environment, and also the fungus will get to use the oxygen as well. Okay, so that is lichen. Second example, hermit crab and sea anemone. Okay, so sometimes you will see some crabs with a very funny animal living on top. So this is called a hermit crab. Hermit crab is looks like a crab, but it's a very non-symmetrical shell. This looks like the shell from the seafood, but this hermit crab, actually, they borrow the shell. When this hermit crab was young, as a little baby they are drifting in the water, 飘来飘去, flying there everywhere. So when they find a shell, they actually will get to go inside and stay in it. So they'll stay, and this is their protection because the body is soft. The hermit crab inside the part, actually inside the part that is actually soft, so they need the protection. So when they're young, they already start searching for all these things. And then when they grow bigger, sometimes the shell cannot accommodate. The shell cannot expand, isn't it? The shell is maximum size, it's fixed size. So when the hermit crab grows, sometimes they may have to leave their shell and look for another one, because you cannot grow when you have a limited shell, right? Limited size of a shell. Oh, okay. Internet is unstable. Okay. Thank you for the feedback. Is it okay now? Shino, maybe you can let me know. Is it okay now? If not, I will switch my cable. I will switch my Wi-Fi to another data. Okay, internet is unstable. Okay, screen remains the same. All right. Okay. Please give me feedback. Is my data okay? Okay. So let me continue first. Right. Later on in the class, I will go through that, whatever you missed out. Okay. Now, so look at this one. The hermit crab, sometimes we have sea anemone on the back. So this sea anemone actually gives protection to the hermit crab. The hermit crab will have its predators. So when you have the sea anemone, it has stingers. Stingers, that means you have all these poisonous things that will help to sting the fish that wants to eat the hermit crab or something like that. Okay, so hermit crab gets protection from the sea anemone. Okay, understand? So, and as a result, the sea anemone will get transportation and also leftover food from the hermit crab. So they help each other. Okay, so Shino. Oh, okay, good. Yeah, thanks, Shino. Okay, now next one. Remember this one we learned in the nitrogen cycle, where we have the bacteria called Rhizobium. Okay, and they live inside the root nodule of the kacang, pokok kacang. So the pokok kacang and the Rhizobium are good friends because they help each other. Rhizobium helps to fix nitrogen and convert it to nitrates. And why is nitrate good? Nitrate is actually can be used by the legume or the plant to produce their protein. So it's something like their budger. Okay, their nitrates and budger. At the same time, what does the plant give to the rhizobium? Okay, the plant will give food. Okay, food and also protection, shelter to the rhizobium. So I help you, I give you a bit of food, I make the nutrient for you, nitrates, you give me protection and so on. Okay, so that is mutualism. Okay, another example in termites. Termites are those we call it white ants. White ants, they eat wood, all right? They eat wood, and then sometimes they eat into the wood. You can find that the whole house is all the wooden part is all destroyed because of termite infestation. So this termite, as you know, they eat wood, and the wood has got cellulose because this is the cell wall component. All the cell wall of plants were cellulose. Okay, and this protozoa, this termite get their nutrient from cellulose, but how to digest this cellulose? Humans, we cannot digest cellulose because we don't have cellulase. Okay, in fact, actually, termites also cannot digest cellulose by themselves. They need a bacteria that stay inside the stomach or in the gut of the termite. So that means it's simple. You have any picture here? No picture here. So let me draw you a termite. Let's say this is a termite. Okay, this is the termite. Okay, inside the gut. Okay, this is the gut, right? The stomach and everything. There is bacteria here. Also, not bacteria, protozoa. Yeah, protozoa. This protozoa is Trichonympha, the name. So this is the termite. Okay, termite, whatever termite. I cannot draw it. I forgot how to look like termite. So this termite inside the stomach or the gut or the intestines of this termite, there is protozoa. And this is the protozoa that produces the cellulase. Cellulase, you need cellulase to break down cellulose. Okay, so if this termite have to depend on protozoa to actually digest their cellulose. Without this protozoa, the protozoa which produces cellulase, even though the termite eat the wood, they cannot get nutrient from there. So that means you can see how important the protozoa is to the termite. Okay, so these microorganisms are able to secrete cellulase. Okay, cellulase, which have been eaten by the herbivore. So the leaves and grass, actually wood also has got cellulase because of the cell there. So the product of digestion is sugar. They get after you break down, you get sugar. And this nutrient, the protozoa will also get something. So this is the advantage. They get food, they also get shelter, protection. Okay, so you help me, I help you. I help you to produce cellulase so I can digest your food. At the same time, right? And in return, I get food from you. I also get protection from you. Okay, so these are the very what we call the quite well-known examples that you should remember. Okay, so I'm finished with commensalism. Let's go to the next one, parasitism. Okay, so parasitism is very obvious. As we learned before, a parasite is not something that is good. Parasite is something that you know that one party will get something good because they is stuck and they absorb the thing, while the other party will lose nutrient, or they may even become sick because they lose the nutrient, or they may even be infected with whatever pathogen that they may bring in. Okay, so parasitism, two different organisms. Always we're talking about two different species, not the same. If it's the same, then they come under competition. That is different. Okay. So parasite, one is called parasite. The other one that gives the nutrient is called the host. The host is always harm when it comes to parasitism. Okay. So two types of parasites, whether they live inside or outside the body. So we call it ecto and endo. Okay. So you learned it before, right? Ecto is always outside. external, ecto. Ecto is inside. So which live on the external is called ecto, alright? Which live inside the body is endo. So let's look at ectoparasites. Ectoparasites simple lah, you know lah. We always get bitten by mosquito, right? Mosquito come and they fly over here, even though they don't stay on our skin, but they're still ectoparasites. So they come and then they will suck our blood. So we lose what, in what sense? We lose the blood to them. We also sometimes get diseases from the mosquito. So that's how we also lose, right? Because we get infected. The mosquito can bring in pathogen. Okay, so examples, your dog, they always have flea, they have lice. Okay, flea and lice are different things. We call it kutu, right? We always say kutu. So we look at examples here, flea and there's another word, tick, also different. Tick, not the tick there as you tick there, the tick along. The tick has a different meaning. Tick also another meaning is actually some kind of a kutu. Okay, I'll show you the examples. Yeah. Examples of ectoparasites that live on the body animals are the various types of flea and lice that feed on the blood. Examples, mosquitoes, they are not they feed on mosquitoes and also tick. Let me show you some ticks. You may not like it, huh? Right, see here? Right, this is a flea. The difference between a flea and a tick is different. This is a tick. You see, you have dogs who have dogs, right? Those who have dogs at home, you always see this little kacang, isn't it? Sometimes when it's infestation of the ticks, you find that in the beginning, actually, the tick is actually quite small little thing. But then they suck the blood until the body becomes so large. And then when you want to press onto it, and all the blood will come out. So that is a engorge. Engorge is bengkak already. Yeah, this is a tick. This is the tick, the dog tick. This is flea. Flea don't get engorged like this, but they jump. The flea are able to jump. They can jump very high also, actually. So that's why your this one, some people have kutu rambut. Sometimes your flea can jump over to another. That's why you get infested with kutu, right? You get kutu from the hair and all that. Humans, I'm talking about humans. So this is for dogs and humans. Okay, now this one is another picture that I fit now. Okay, so we are done with this one. Another example on plants. These are on plants. It's aphids. I go to aphids. Aphids are these little insects that they will come to the plants and then they will suck the nutrient from the plant. They will have the proboscis. There's a little needle. They inject into the phloem because they want to suck the nutrient from the phloem. Okay, so they suck the nutrient from the phloem, and then this is the nutrient for them. So now this is aphid. I'm going to show you an aphid. This one. I'm sure you have seen all this on plants. These are aphids. So their food is actually the sac of the phloem sac. They will puncture into the plant and they will draw out like a needle. They draw out they suck up the nutrient. These are aphids. Okay, they are parasites for plants. The tick and the flea are parasites for animals. Okay, let's go back to this one. Another example of parasite is the Rafflesia plant. The plant with one of the biggest flowers, and it smells very horribly. They smell very bad because it smells like a rotting carcass, like dead animal or dead whatever dead animal. Yeah, they smell like the animal. So that's why they attract all the flies. Because fly loves all this kind of strong smell. So and this is their pollinating region for the fly. Okay, so the Rafflesia they are parasites because they will actually absorb the nutrient from the host, from the plant that they are staying on. Okay, so they grow on the roots, right? The roots, and they extend their filaments into the roots and draw out the nutrient. So they are parasitic plants. Okay, so here's a flea. This is a dog flea that I showed you just now. Like that. This is a flea. Flea is normally thinner, right? And they can jump. You can see they're very strong Z-shaped legs, and they can actually, they can actually fly up very, very high. So this is Rafflesia. Okay. These are other types of plants, right? I don't have to remember so many now. Another example to show you are these worms. Okay. Now we're looking at animals. Okay, now we're going back to animals. Ectoparasites usually have these following adaptations. Ectoparasites. Now the worms will be inside. Ectoparasites usually have, like for fleas, they have something to attach themselves to the host. For example, the louse. Louse is the lice, same meaning. Louse and lice is the same. Louse is singular, lice is plural. It's the flea. They will hook on the legs, okay, so that they do not get to be removed easily. They get stuck onto the fur of the animal. They also can have structures. They need to have structures for sucking the nutrient. They need to have the proboscis, very long mouth parts that can go inside the body and suck out. So they have this kind of adaptation. Okay, and they're also able to secrete a saliva which contains anticoagulating agents. Because when the mosquito sucks our blood, right, once it's exposed to the air, our platelets will start to make the blood to clot. So if it clots, that means your mosquito cannot absorb, cannot suck up the blood because it's not liquid anymore. In order to prevent that, the saliva of this mosquito has a substance to stop the blood from becoming solid. So it's anticoagulant. Okay, that's why they can suck up the blood. Okay, next one. Let me go on to endo. Yes, endo. Endo, I'll show you pictures. Endo parasites. Just now we talk about all the outside one. Those are outside your body. Now we talk about endo parasites. These are parasites that are lived inside the host, inside the body of the host. So usually they will live, the best part to choose is sometimes the liver, sometimes it's the intestine. Liver because a lot of blood there. Okay, so like the Plasmodium. Plasmodium is the pathogen which causes malaria. So they need to complete their life cycle in the liver. Okay, some live in the liver, some live in the intestine. Intestine a lot of food, right? That's why the worms, all the tapeworm, the tapeworm, roundworm, all the worms are inside there because there's a lot of nutrients. In the intestine, that's the place where you have all these digested substances. Okay. Now, some example of endoparasites include roundworm. Okay, look at the names of roundworm. Okay. Some of the children, they say, I'm sure you heard before. That means the children have worms inside the stomach. They may eat a lot, but they don't get to grow. They're also skinny. So the parents say, this is means you have worms inside there. So what do? They go to the pharmacy and there you buy a medication that you actually can kill the worms inside the intestine, and then it will come out in the feces there. Okay, one of the examples is Zentel. You may have heard before Zentel, Zentel. This is one of the medication that you can go to the pharmacy and buy if you suspect yourself to have a lot of worms inside your intestines. Okay, after I show some worms, you won't like it. It looks horrible. Alright, tapeworm. Tapeworm is flatter. Roundworm is the body is cylindrical. Okay, fluke is a flat worm. The worm is flat, okay, fasciola. And some causes malaria like Plasmodium. This one they go to the liver, okay. And bacterium called Mycobacterium tuberculosis, which causes tuberculosis. Please remember all for endoparasites, I just remember the worms enough already. Okay, let's show you some worms. Before that, go to see this one first. Roundworms and tapeworms are found in the intestines of humans and also animals. Okay, and then they absorb the digested nutrients. So that's why the animal, the host may find that it's not gaining in weight or not really, thriving well. So that you eat also, but it's not getting any energy because any nutrients, because the nutrients being sucked up that one. So because of the worm infestation. Okay, let's look at the examples. I think you don't like it. Yeah, it's horrible, Okay, now tapeworm. Look at the head. They have special sucker. This sucker. This special sucker is for it to hook onto the internal lining of your intestine, so that they do not get flushed out when the food moves along your intestines. It does not get removed. So that's how they can stay there for a long time. Okay, if you do not remove them, they stay there and they grow, and sometimes they can become very, very long. So there's some pictures there on the internet I dare not show you because it looks horrible. You know why? Because they're so very long. You cannot imagine your intestine can have so long a worm inside there. So just showing a small one. This is a tapeworm in the intestine. So tapeworm is flat. Okay, it's long and flat. So you can see the intestinal walls there. Okay, and this is a round worm. We call it Ascaris. Okay, they are called nematodes. This is the grouping called nematodes, and then it's round, just like a it looks like a touching panna. It looks like the earthworm, right? But of course, it's different, right? Different species even. So they are able to live inside the body in complete darkness. They don't even need to see, because nothing to see inside your intestines here. There's no light. Okay, all they need to eat is suck and eat, and then just grow. That's it. They don't need any we call it complex nervous system. They don't need to see, they don't need to hear, so they don't have all these we call it senses. All they do is they have this special adaptation and suck the nutrient and they grow. That's all. Okay, and this is a fluke. A fluke is a flatworm. Okay, the body is not cylindrical, it's flat. This is called fluke. Okay, so let's go back to the adaptation of these endo parasites. Endo parasites usually, again, this is we call adaptation questions. Always take note of the notes. It's quite a popular thing. You should, as a biologist, you should know about adaptations. Okay, how are they structured in order to able to survive or able to thrive in that condition? So first of all, they have thick cuticle. Okay, they prevent themselves from being digested. Of course, they cannot die, right? They don't want to die, because in our intestines, we also have got enzymes, right? We have got acids, like alkaline, because the enzymes are, they work well under acidic or alkaline. But in the intestine is alkaline. So your thick cuticle, you have to protect itself. You have to have covering. Okay, you have organs of attachment. You see all the sucker, the part where you can suck, and sometimes teeth also, right? They have all these things. So they are able to have hooks and suckers. They can attach themselves firmly to the intestinal wall. So they stay there for a long time. Okay, so these are the adaptation. All right, let's write down here. Now, next one, they can respire anaerobically. This is a special adaptation. They don't need a lot of oxygen, because inside certain places like intestines and all this, they don't have a lot of oxygen there. They are able to thrive very well over there as long as they get the nutrients. They don't need to have a lot of oxygen. Okay, oxygen is scarce, very little oxygen, they can still do it. And then they have simple digestive tract. They just absorb nutrient. They don't need to digest the nutrient, because the nutrient is already digested. They need to absorb nutrient. Okay, they don't have complex. They don't have producing their own enzyme to go and digest the food. They don't need to. And another one is the degeneration of sensory organs that I mentioned just now. They don't need to see. They don't have very complex sensory organs or the nervous system. Okay, they do not have eyes. They don't need to hear. There's nothing to do there, right? Because it's pitch black, pitch darkness. All they need to do is just to eat and grow. Okay. Oh, the screen is not moving. Is it okay now? Can you give me feedback? Maybe because it's not moving, it's because I'm not moving it. I'm just talking only. I'm talking to that part. Is that okay now? Yunchi? All right, I'll do it first. Okay, last part, second last part. Saprophytism is another group. Saprophytism is an interaction whereby organism lives and feeds on decaying organic matter. So the host must be dead. So remember this one, the host is the substrate, right? It is a dead one. Then you call it a saprophytism. Okay. Two types. Okay. Organisms, they are either have saprophytes or they are saprozoites. So again, the same thing. Phyte means plants. Zoid means animals. Okay. Whenever you see the zoid, it means animals. Phyte means plants. So examples. Now, what do? They saprophyte. They can produce enzyme. They will digest and decompose the dead or complex organic matter, and then they get their food from there, right? It's already digested. Usually they digest it outside their cell. It's called extracellular digestion. The enzyme come out of their body, they digest outside, and then they suck in the nutrient into the body through the roots and through the special features. Example, mushroom. Okay, mushroom. Mushroom, they grow on decaying wood. So the wood is dead, decaying. Mole, okay, mole is the May, right? It's like we call it kulat. In BM, we call it kulat. So the mole actually got two spelling, right? Sometimes you see this M-O-L-D, sometimes you see M-O-L-O-U-D. Now, what is the difference between M-O-L-D and M-O-U-D? So actually there's a slight difference. They mean the same thing. MOLD is just the American spelling. MOLD is American. MOULD is British. Okay, so usually we will choose or we follow the British spelling. Okay, so you're encouraged to, because you do not spell cat C-O-L, you don't spell your color as in C-O-L-R. This is the American spelling. For us, we always spell it C-O-L-O-U-R. This is the British spelling. Okay, so we follow British because we were, we follow the system from the British during those colonial days. We were ex-colony of Britain, okay, many years ago before kemerdekaan. So now let's look at the mold. The mold, they produce enzyme and they digest it externally. So the digestion is external, and then they absorb the nutrients back into the body. Okay, bracket fungus. Now these are fungus which look like this. Okay, I give you another picture. This is bracket fungus. I'm sure you've seen something like this on the dead logs or the trees. You have all these very nice looking, what they look like mushrooms of fungus, right? Isn't it? So you see all this pattern of that. Another example would be one that can use for medication. Linji, we heard Linji, Ganoderma. Linji is this group of things, right? It's fungus that they have to have medicinal properties, so they make medicine from it. Okay, saprophytic, right? Bracket fungus, when they die, so they start living on the tree branches first. Right? And then later, when the host dies, they change their mood from parasitic to saprophytic. So when the tree is still alive, it's considered as a parasitic relationship because they just absorb the nutrient. But once the tree dies, then it becomes a saprophytic because they're decomposing the host already. So this is bracket fungus. Okay, next one, saprophytic bacteria. They bring about putrefaction. It's actually decomposition, fulan. So they bring about to break down the complex protein and carbohydrate and so on into smaller molecules, so that it can be absorbed, returned back to the environment, and used by other plants. Okay, so these are examples of the small, now it's saprozoid, just now saprophyte. Saprozoid examples would be amoeba and paramecium, which eat all this decaying matter in the water, and earthworms, they eat on dead leaves and organic matter. Okay, so these are like, you clear up all these dead organic leaves and so on. So they are the saprozoid. Zoid because they're animals. Okay, last group, this is the prey-predator interaction. Okay, it's easy to remember. Oh, no, this is second last list. This is interaction whereby two organisms, their interaction is mostly just for food only. One gets eaten by the other. Okay, one is a prey, one is a predator. So the one that is eaten is called a prey. So I remember I told you how to remember. Prey has four letters, just like food. So remember prey as food. Okay, so predator is the larger one. So the size of prey is usually smaller. That makes sense. And then who wants to go after a bigger? That's not possible for you to chase after a bigger animal, because probably the bigger animal will be stronger. They can fight you off. You cannot eat the organism. Okay, but the number of prey is always more. Yeah, it makes sense. You have prey will be more than the predator. And this, what is adaptation? Usually predators will have long canine teeth. Canine teeth is the teeth of these two sides. Only have two. Okay, the one is a bit sharp. That's called the canine teeth. Sharp vision, they can see very clearly, so they can locate. They must have this stereoscopic vision. I remember you learned it from before. Stereoscopic, where the eyes are where? The eyes are where? The eyes are found in front of the face, not at the side. Okay, prey will have the eyes at the side. They are called monoscopic vision. For predator, you will have the stereoscopic vision because by having the eyes in front here, they are able to have a 3D image of what they see. They can judge how far the organism or the animal is in front, so they can adjust how their speed of chase. They can get the animal easily. They need to know how far it is. But for the prey, or we call it animal which is hunted, their eyes are at the side. We call it monoscopic vision. It's because it's more important for them to run away from danger. It's not so important for them to know how far the danger is, how far the animal is in front of you. They need to know whether it's at the side, whether it's behind. So by having the eyes at the side, they are able to have a 180 degree view. In fact, more than that, you can see almost behind the head, about 270 degrees vision coverage. So they can see the side, right? So they can know, they can run away quickly when they see anything approaching from behind. So for prey, yes, they have monocular vision. Okay, monocular. This is how you tie in what you know in Form 3. Monocular vision for prey, stereoscopic vision for predator. Okay, so she also has sharp vision and with stereoscopic vision and also sharp claws, okay? And they have sharp teeth and sharp claws they can catch and then they can tear the parts of the tissue off, so on, the flesh. Okay, hook beaks. Beaks for birds, predatory birds, they have to tear the flesh. They have also very sharp claws, right, to hold on and catch the food. They rely on speed. Okay, they also rely on camouflage. So the body, the patterns is called camouflage. Camouflage is to allow them not to be seen easily by the prey. So they slowly creep up behind the organism and they find the correct time to actually chase it. All right, and speed is important because if you don't have speed, the organism, the prey will run away. Okay, now let's look at the graph. There is an interaction which is interesting here. You find when you draw the graph of number of prey and predator, you always follow a pattern. Okay, they are maintained as a balance. So the pattern is always a cyclic pattern. Cyclic means it's like a cycle. Up and down, up and down, up and down. And once it goes down, it goes up again. And once it goes too high up, it comes down again. It always corrects itself. So nature is always a way to actually correct it. That's why I call it a dynamic equilibrium. So that's why when we have too much of a human intervention in our ecosystem, so sometimes we upset the balance of nature. We upset the balance of ecosystem. So everything, in nature, we do not touch it, it will correct itself. Right? It goes up and comes down. And okay, so how it works? How do you look at this one? Now look at this. The two lines here represent the number of the population is number, right? The number of organisms. The yellow line is for the prey. Let's say rabbit lah, right? Let's say rabbit. And predator here is, let's say, tiger. Okay, so we are talking about maybe tiger forest. Okay, but do we have rabbit there? Okay, doesn't matter. Or you can say rat, whatever. So now, first of all, they fluctuate. You see, fluctuate means up and down, up and down. It's not consistent. Fluctuate means goes up and goes down from time to time. It's called fluctuate. And they do it together. Okay, they do it not really together. It's like one after another. The pattern follows. The pattern follows. Okay, now look at the first time beginning. When the population of a predator is high, let's say it so happen at certain time, the predator high population. So here, let's say here, this is dotted line is a predator. The dotted line is a predator. Look at my here, dotted line. So when it is high, that means there's a lot of tigers eating the rabbit, correct or not? So what is the effect to the population of the rabbit? When you have a lot of tiger, you will end up eating more rabbits, correct? Okay, so your rabbit population will drop. So you can see when your predator is high up there, it follows that your this will drop. Okay, when the predator is up there, it's already peak. After that, you will see that the prey population will decrease. Okay, this is a prey, yellow is prey. The population will drop because you have too much of predator. So this one drops. Okay. Now, when after that it follows through, it follows when the population of the prey falls. Now it's getting less and less and less and less rabbit, right? So when it's getting less and less and less and less rabbit, it also works that your tiger will get less and less and less food. Isn't it? Right? Less rabbit means less food for your tiger. So when your rabbit decreases in number, your tiger will also decrease. Correct? And see, it will follow suit. So when the prey drops in numbers, the tiger will also drop in number. So it follows the same pattern, it comes down. Right? Now, follow again, some more. So the population of prey falls, there will also be a decline in the population of the predator because of starvation, not enough food for the tiger. Now, let's say continue the story. Now, when the predator now is already low, you see just now we said not enough tiger, because not enough rabbit, not enough tiger, right? So now your tiger has gone down all the way to the bottom. Let's say now this is your tiger now. Your tiger population is now low. So when the tiger population is low, not many tigers to eat your rabbit, now your prey will recover, isn't it? The population, they will breed, they will reproduce. So now because less tiger, your rabbit population will increase. Okay, you can see it goes up. See. This one is down, but this is up. So you see, it follows the pattern. When this one goes down, this one will go up. And then afterwards, when this one goes up, this one will come down. Okay, so it follows each other. So you see, this will result in an increase in the population of the predator again. So now when the prey increases, the predator will also increase. So now this one going up. At the same time, this is the yellow color is the prey, right? Prey going more and more. So when there's more food, now your tiger will also increase. It follows. Okay. Now, if they give you this question, right? They ask you to identify this is A, this is B. How to identify? Which is prey, which is predator. Okay, I give a simple way to remember. Always find out which one changes first. Which one changes first? Okay, is it the yellow line change first or the dotted line change first? How to see change first? See which one drop first, or which one go up first, and that's the easier way. So you see which one drops first, I put the yellow line. Yellow line is which one? Prey. Prey is this. Okay, this one. Which one drops first? You just draw one line. Just draw one line on your graph. I draw here. Okay, I draw it here. So when I drop it here, you can see my yellow line drops first, and then followed by the dotted line. Okay, if I do it here, if I draw another line here, let's say I draw another line here, I want to see which one drops first. You can see that when this one changes first, you see this one goes up, and then this one followed by this one, isn't it? The yellow line goes up first, followed by the dotted line. Okay, if I do it here, draw a line first, draw a line. You see this one, yellow line drops, and then it's on followed by the dotted line. So the rule of the thumb here to remember is which one changes first. The one that changes first, in this case, you can see is the yellow line, isn't it? Yellow line drop first, then only followed by the dotted line. And then when yellow line go up, you see yellow line go up first, then only followed by the dotted line. Correct? So which one changes first? Don't care whether it go up or go down. As long as it changes first, that shows the population of the prey. I repeat that. Whichever line that changes first, whether it goes down first or whether it goes up first, that is the population of the prey. Okay, it's simple as that. So you can see here very clearly, you find that there's a mountain here, right? But this one, the yellow one first. Then only followed by the next one, followed by the dotted line. And then when it drops, you see this one, the yellow line drops first. Then only followed by the dotted line. So the yellow line refers to the prey. Okay, very simple. So now last line here, the population of predators and prey, they control each other. So they say they fluctuate in a fixed level, the pattern, right? When this goes up and then it's like this follow each other. They are called said to be in dynamic equilibrium. So you can see in nature, everything is supposed to be dynamic equilibrium, unless of course human intervention. Right? Human has been known to really know how to mess up the world, okay? Mess up the ecosystem, mess up because we do it for the gain of human. We don't do it for the gain of, helping animals, number one. Humans are majority, I would say, maybe they are quite selfish. They want to get what they want, right? And to the expense of actually destroying the ecosystem. Okay, now, so we have one more last part to do. Competition. Okay, competition in Cantonese or Mandarin is called 竞争. 竞争 is like fighting. I want this, you also want this. Actually, they want the same thing. So the important thing is, why is there competition? It's because they want the same thing. Then only they fight, isn't it? If they're not going for the same thing, there's competition. Let's say, I want this cake, but you don't want the cake. You want the biscuit. Okay, what's there to fight? I take my cake, you take a biscuit, correct, isn't it? There's nothing to fight for. But because we want that cake, I want the cake, you want the cake, so we fight. Okay, so because it's the basic, they need the same thing, common basic needs. That's why they have to fight, and usually it's because it's limited. Okay, it's limited. That's why they fight. There are 10 people fighting over one piece of cake. Then they fight. But if there are 10 people, there are 10 pieces of cake, right? Enough for everybody. Then there's no need to fight. Correct? Okay. So two things to remember. Number one, when they talk about competition, the supply must be limited. Then only there's competition. Number two is they must want the same thing. Then only there's competition. If there's these two syarat, these two things do not no syarat for this, then there's no competition at all. Okay, what do they compete? For plants, they will want things that they all need. For example, water, isn't it? All plants need water. They also need sunlight because they want to make food from with photosynthesis, minerals, and also maybe living space. If you plant the plants too near to each other, they do not have enough space for the roots to grow, for the leaves to combine and so on. So they also need space. So when you sow your seeds, make sure there's enough space in between when you put your seed into the lubang, all right, when you want to grow something. Then it will grow better. Okay, plants, animals, they compete for, food, of course, definitely, right? When they're fighting for the food, there's one organism there, there's one rabbit there, and two lions are going for food. Living space, yes, they do not want to share too close living space with another. That's why you can see a lot of animals, they fight. When they find one cave, right, they will fight for the cave because they want to occupy that space there. Okay, reproductive mate, they're looking for a female to breed. So usually the males, they will fight over the other male because they want to pass on their genes to the next generation. They want to procreate. They want to have a chance for their genes. So if they win the fight, that means this is the survival of the fittest. So the best will win, means they're the strongest. It also shows that means the anak that they produce will be strong as well. So it's nature's law. We want the best for everything. Okay, so always the best will win, and it also shows maybe the next generation that able to reproduce will be the better one. Okay, so two types of competition. This is intraspecific and interspecific. Okay, look at the word carefully. You see the intra, and the one is called inter. Okay, what's the difference? Intra means among themselves. So it is of the same species. That means tiger and tiger, same tiger fight each other because they want the same food, or they're looking at the female, one female there, but two tigers, they're fighting because they want to mate with the female. So it's the same species. Okay, either plant and plant or animal and animal. So example for plant is this Bryophyllum plant. Now this is okay, the plant which has the leaves, let me draw the leaves here. The leaves will actually have baby plants coming up from the side here. So you have this kind of thing. The leaf is like that one. Okay, the leaf is like that. And then here you have baby leaves coming out. So this is the parent leaf, and they reproduce by producing baby leaves here. So once they grow up to a certain size, they will drop. So when they drop to the bottom, and then that's where they stay, and that's where they're going to grow up. So it's called Biofilm. They reproduce asexually, right, by producing the buds along the margin of the mature leaves. So the leaf mature, you get all these little leaves coming up. So when they drop onto the ground, they will develop young plants, which are all the leaves are good, because once they drop down, you see all the baby leaves are down there. So they are actually competing among themselves. They are all the same species. So this is intra-species competition because they all drop at the same place. All right, they don't get dispersed. The problem is because they're all stuck at that place there. Okay, this is intra-specific competition. They compete for living space, water, minerals, and sunlight. Okay, so animals as well. When you have too many chickens, right? When you want to breed your chicken, don't put into small coop, they will end up fighting because they don't have enough space. So you don't want them to hurt each other. You make sure you have enough space for them. Otherwise, they will start fighting. Especially the males, they will fight, right? They will peck each other to obtain more food and get more space. This always happens. Nature, this is all nature. Okay, so another example, competition among the maize plants. If you put all your maize together, this jagung, you plant them very near to each other, they'll be fighting. You can't see the fight, but actually their roots are fighting. And then they'll end up growing very small, meaning they're not the maximum size. Paramecium aurelia, this is a type, this is the genus name Paramecium. Aurelia is the species name. So when you grow them together, all in the same petri dish, or all in the same petri dish, all in the same what do you call it, the water supply, you will find that they will be fighting. All right. So that is the intraspecific. Okay, inter is between individuals from different species. Careful here. Different species. How do you know the different species? If you look at the scientific name, remember you learned about this scientific name. I said Paramecium cordatum is one type. Because the genus name, look at Paramecium, and the other one, Paramecium aurelia. Genus is the same, but species name is different. This shows that they are different species. So when Paramecium aurelia and Paramecium cordatum, they grow together, it's considered interspecies. Because cordatum and aurelia, they are different species, even though the genus is the same. Okay, so make sure you understand the concept. Interspecies must be different species. For example, lion and tiger are different species. When they fight over a rabbit, that is called interspecific. Okay, so the stronger species will survive. This is nature, definitely. The stronger one, because fight, they are able to hurt the other animal. The animal will get scared and run away. So that means win already, right? They win already, and they will live there. They get the cave, they get the female, they get the food, right? They were able to live better, right? They become dominant. So the one that loses, either they die or they will know how to go. They will know how to say bye-bye. Okay, they definitely run away. They will know that they have lost the war, they have lost the fight. They will find somewhere else to go. Okay, now for plants, interspecific competition is between maize and paddy. That means in a plot of land, you plant your maize and paddy together. So maize, paddy in the same place. That is considered as interspecific. Okay, so now look at this experiment here. When you have an experiment done by a Russian ecologist called G.F. Gauss, they call that culture two. They did two experiments. He did two experiments. One is he grew the Paramecium aurelia on its own separately. So there's one place here. This is only Paramecium aurelia grow by itself, right? And then there's another one. They just grow as Paramecium cordatum. So this is called Paramecium aurelia fighting with Paramecium aurelia. Paramecium cordatum fighting with Parasitic cordatum. So they're actually fighting among themselves. So this is called intraspecific competition. Okay, Parasitic aurelia in one medium, then another one separately in another one. So these are called cultured separately. Okay, then you get this kind of graph. They grow. Right, they grow not in relation to each other. It means they're not together. They grow Paramecium aurelia. Of course, they remember your growth pattern. They always come to a maximum. Okay, they become we call already achieve the maximum. What do you call it? Become constant already. Okay, the growth rate becomes constant. Zero growth. So it's sigmoid shape. You learned that last year, chapter 15, chapter 14, right? And we can see that the growth is slow at the beginning. It's the lag phase. Slowly after that, you find you pick up the reproduction increases, then the number becomes more exponential. At a certain point, there already limited supply or lack of supply, and then they will no more growing. It's zero growth. Okay, this is intraspecific, not interspecific. Okay. Now next one, what happens if you do another one? You have a same medium. What you do here is you grow your Paramecium aurelia and Paramecium cordatum together at the same place. So they're actually competing among themselves, and because they're different species, they're called interspecific competition. Okay, so now you will find that one species look like it's winning, the other species is losing. Okay, you see that one is winning, one is losing. So you see that it has an effect. Okay, so this is the species that is more dominant. is able to overcome the other the other population, is able to thrive. So they consider win already. Okay, so the Parasitic chordatum has lost the competition. Okay, so when you culture them together, you get the second graph here. You find that what is an interspecific competition. In this time, at this time, you'll find that maybe one will win and one will lose. Okay, so that is the difference in the graph. All right, so usually, which one is more intense? Which one the 竞争 it become a bit more like fighting, a bit more like stronger, the fight between the organism, which one is stronger? Is it in the interspecies or intraspecies? Okay, now look here. Intraspecies competition is more intense, that means stronger. Okay, why? Because intraspecies means the competition, they're fighting among the same species. So tiger A fight with tiger A. So usually this is more intense compared to tiger fight with lion. Okay, so the same species, they fight together. Why? Because they have the same niche. They have the same role in the organism, in the ecosystem, and they are competing for exactly the same resources. This organism that need is the same as the other organism the needs. 它们有相同的需要. That's why they have the same needs. That's why they will fight more intensely. If it is different species, like for example, a lion and a tiger, maybe their needs are slightly different. So they don't really need to, that fight is not so intense. Okay, so remember for intraspecific, they will have the same needs. They have the same needs. So that's why the fight among them is actually stronger. Compared to two different species, they may have slightly different needs. So they don't really have to really fight that much. Okay, to get the same thing, because it may not be the same thing. All right, okay, so I've covered quite a bit here. Actually, it's just one small topic, but because there's a lot of facts here, right, I make sure that I cover everything. So with this, actually, is enough, very much enough. In fact, you get a lot of information from here, all right, from this topic. All right, okay, so we will proceed to the Google Meet, right, for questions and also exercises. So we will check through over there, all right. So I will see you in the next lesson, which is I think probably this Saturday, right? Okay, so for those students out there, thanks for watching, and please do share the video. Okay, hope you've learned from here, and I'll see you in the next lesson. Okay, bye-bye. Bye.